Right, here I am knitting along, and you might see that there are some markers here. You might be used to lots of beautiful markers that you might have made yourself or bought from somebody with jewels on them. These have simply letters, A and B. I do not use plain markers in this book, New Pathways for Sock Knitters, Book 1, except in one or two spots where they don't matter. Instead, I use markers with letters on them. A, B, C, and D are used in almost every sock. Some use E and F, and I forget if any get to G or H, but you don't have to go much beyond that. You can make these yourself, or Skacel is having some beautiful Addy Turbo stitch markers made. They're calling them Cat's Magical Markers, and they can be slipped right over the cable and are very beautiful and are A, B, C, D, E, and F. But anyway, notice right here, here's A, there's B. So if I say something to you like, knit to 1 stitch past A, you don't have to say, which marker is she talking about? Notice when we get to the marker, it slides along like it's on a clothesline. It marks the space between 2 stitches so you know where you are. So if I said, knit to 1 stitch past A, there's 1 stitch, let's knit it so we're 1 stitch past A. And now it might say something like, and do a LLinc. A LLinc, as you might remember, is a leaning right increase. To do this, you lift up the mother's right leg, lift it up onto the needle, and knit it. And on you go. Then maybe it says, knit until 1 stitch before B. Well, there we are. There's B, 1 stitch before B. And now it might say, do a LLinc, a leaning left increase, in which case we pick up the grandmother's left leg, daughter, mother, grandmother, pick up the grandmother's left leg, which you might notice is in the same row or round as the mother, but because we just gave birth here, notice a minute ago we were like this, a minute ago this person is just a mother and a daughter. Watch the change take place. A baby's been born, a daughter, a baby girl, a daughter, now this is the mother, and the mother became a grandmother, which I became a grandmother 3 months ago, and there's nothing better in the world. Okay, I lifted up grandmother's left leg, put it up there, knit into it. Notice that happened 1 stitch before B, and then continue on your way. When you come to the marker, slide it tip to tip along like a clothesline. It simply holds that place in between stitches. And what you see now is increases happening. Before we only had 3 stitches between A and B, now we have 5. This is just one example of how the letter markers are used. You will find that you will want to begin using letter markers everywhere in your knitting. They simply help you know where you are. For instance, B comes after A, so you know you're headed in that direction. If you just look at your knitting, you pick it up, you wonder which way you're going, you can tell. I predict that in 5 years, virtually all knitting patterns will use letter markers because they simply help you make sense of your knitting. It gives me, even though I write my own patterns, it gives me great security to read my pattern when it says do such and such at B or A or C or D, because I know exactly where I am. It gives you happiness.